Alright, hey guys, today is Thursday, May 7th, and so what I have for us to do today is page 450 through 451, 1 through 36 even. I'm actually going to shorten that for you a little bit and only mainly do 1 through 26 even, and I'll work a few of the other ones with you, but only so 1 through 26 even should mainly be what y'all need to focus on. And then I'm also going to review for the test as well, so this may be a little bit longer video, but there won't be a video tomorrow since you'll have a test, and so we'll just kind of go get started on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do number 1 up here on the board. So it says evaluate, this is on page 450. So it says evaluate y plus 3, y minus z at the appropriate x and y values. And so I'm just going to plug x, y, and z values. So I'm just going to plug x into x, y into y, z into z. So there is no x, but notice there's a y. So I'm going to plug negative 1 into y. So it would be negative 1 plus 3. And then I'm going to plug a negative 1 into the y on the bottom. And then I'm going to plug in a negative 3 into the z on the bottom. Okay, so negative 1 plus 3 on the top is a 2. And then negative 1 minus a negative 3, negative minus a negative, it turns into plus a positive. So negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So I end up with 2 over 2, which reduces to just 1. So that answer would be 1. So for those, you just plug x into x, y into y, z into z, and solve. Now number 6 says 8x divided by x squared minus 4x plus 3. So for these it says determine the values that x cannot equal. And so remember that x cannot equal a 0 in the denominator. So in order to tell what x cannot equal, I have to set this denominator equal to 0. So to do that, I'm just going to do x minus x squared minus 4x plus 3 equal to 0. And then I have to factor that. And so I have to do guess and check. So I'm doing the factors of x squared, or x and x. And I have to use the same sign, so that's a plus 3. Factors of 3 are 1 and 3. So again, the same plus sign or same minus sign is actually going to be minus sign since I'm trying to get to a negative 4x. So 1 and 3 comes in here. So that's the factors. And then you set each of those equal to 0. So this would be x equals x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1, and so x cannot equal 1. Set this one equal to 0, and so we get x minus 3 cannot equal 0. And so add 3, x cannot equal 3. So x cannot equal 1 or 3. So you just basically set the denominator equal to 0 to figure out where there's a problem. And so you have to factor it, and then set the factors equal to 0. Alright, number 7. Says perform the indicated function, reduce the answer to the lowest terms and leave it in factor form. And so what I have up here on number 7 is, remember to do these, what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to factor everything and then see what cancels and then multiply the stuff together. So the first step is to factor it. So I'm going to factor the top. I have xy minus 3y. So that doesn't factor or guess and check y's or anything like that. But I can see what I can pull out. Notice that there's a y in common. So I can pull the y out. So that would be y times. So xy, you take that y out. That leaves just the x. Then you have a minus 3y. You took the y out. So that leaves just a minus 3. So that's the top. Now the bottom is x squared plus 4x plus 4. So I'm going to factor that. So I'm going to do factors of 4, which are 1 and 4, and 2 and 2. And then factors of x squared are x and x. Okay, I have to do guess and check. So this plus 4 tells me that it's both going to be the same sign. And I'm trying to get to a positive 4x, that means it's going to be a plus in the middle. Alright, so I'm going to use the 2 and the 2. So I would do x plus 2, x plus 2. So that would be this factor, so that's good. So then I'm going to do the other side. So 6x plus 4, same thing. What do they have in common? Well, they have a 2 in common, so I can pull out a 2. So 2 will go into 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that's how we get to 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then the x stays. And then 4 divided by 2 is just 2. So it's 3x plus 2. And then the bottom, 6y, 2xy. Looking to see if anything cancels. I can pull out a 2 from each of them. So 2 will go into 6 3 times. 2 will go into 2 just 1 time. I can also pull out a y. This one has a y and this one has a y, so I'm pulling out 2y. So that means it'll just be the 6 divided by 2 is 3. Y divided by y goes away. Over here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then y divided by y is not, so just leave us minus 2x. And so now I can look to see if anything cancels with anything. So what I'm going to do is look and see what cancels. Let's see. I have a y up top right here that cancels with this y down bottom right there. So remember, anytime you cancel something, you have to account for it. So that means that y cannot equal 0, because you said that what you cancel equal to 0. And so y cannot equal 0. So these y's cancel. Anything else? I don't see anything else. So what I'm going to do is just kind of throw this together. Well, look at this. We have a 3x plus 2 and a 3 minus 2x. Nope. So then I'm just going to do the multiplication. Well, the 2's cancel. 2 and 2 cancel there. That makes it a little bit simpler. And so your final answer then would just be x minus 3. 3x plus 2. Over x plus 2, x plus 2, and then wait, that x goes here. Hold on, wait a second. That's what that should be. So right here, that was a 3 minus x. And so notice the 3 minus x cancels 2. I accidentally put the 2, but when I do it, 2 divided by 2 there is just 1. That was just a common error. And so 3 minus x right here cancels. And so what you can do to get that to cancel, notice they're opposite signs. So I have to pull out a negative to be able to do that. Because it's 3 minus x, I need that to look at x minus 3. And so to do that, you just pull out a negative. Anytime you see the same thing, just flip the order. So I saw the x minus 3, 3 minus x, the same thing, just flip. All that means you need to pull out a negative. So I just pulled out the negative and put the negative in my answer. And then that way that can cancel out with that. And then that leaves my answer then just that canceled. And so my answer is just the 3x plus 2 over x plus 2, x plus 2, with the negative out front. And then, of course, since I canceled an x minus 3, you would have to set x minus 3 equal to 0, and say that x cannot equal negative 3, or positive 3, x cannot equal 3. So those are my two, y cannot equal 0, x cannot equal 3. So that's pretty much how you're going to do it. We're just going to set it up, factor everything, and then start seeing what cancels. If you end up with something that looks the same but has opposite signs, then just pull out a negative, and that flips all the signs, and then it'll allow it to cancel. So that will be number 7. All right, we'll look at number 11 up here. So number 11 says x squared plus x minus 12. over this. So again, I'm just going to factor everything I can. So the first thing I'm going to do is just factor it. And so I'm going to do x squared plus x minus 12 and factor it. I'm going to do guess and check. So when I do guess and check, I'm going to end up with an x. Whoops, here. We're going over. I'll wind up with an x. Okay, it's going to be factors of a negative 12. So that'd be factors of 12 or 1 and 6. I mean 2 and 6, 1 and 12, 3 and 4. And then I'm trying to get to a positive x, different signs. So one's going to be there and one's there. Trying to get to the x. And so that would mean I need to do the 3 and the 4. And so I'll put the 3 here, the 4 here. You can check that really quick. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And so combine them, and that'll give you the middle term. So that's that factor. Now I also want to do the bottom right here factor. And so notice it's an x squared minus 3x. So all I can do is pull out a x. So I'm just going to pull an x out. So I pull an x out of this one, that leaves me an x left. Then I pull an x out of the minus 3x, and that leaves me just a minus 3. So that's the first one. Now, to do the second one, we're dividing, so you can kind of do it either way here. You can do it. You have to keep in mind when we divide, you have to multiply by the reciprocal, which means at some point, the top and the bottom of this right part has to flip. Since we divide, we multiply by the reciprocal. You can do that as you're factoring, or you can do that at the end. It doesn't matter. I'll do it at the end. You could go ahead and do it now, but I'll do it at the end. And so it's still divided by factor at the top, x squared plus 2x minus 8. Factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. So I'm factoring, and I'm trying to get to something that has a pot plus 2x. It has to be different signs. And so it'd be a 4 and a 2. You can check it. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Do the addition. That leaves me a positive 2x. So that checks. So I factored the top. Now the bottom is just what it is, x squared. So now, since I did not flip it as I factored, I have to flip it now. And so when I go to cancel, it's going to be x minus 3, x plus 4 over x minus 3 times, instead of divide, so I have to flip it, and so it would be x squared on top and x minus 2, x plus 4 on the bottom. Now I can look to see what cancels. I have an x plus 4, cancel with an x plus 4. So then that would be x plus 4 equals 0, minus 4, minus 4. So x would equal negative 4. So that's what x cannot equal. That's one part of your answer. So that canceled. I have an x minus 3 here. That canceled an x minus 3. So again, x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, so x cannot equal 3. So that'd be part of your answer. And so that all that leaves me is an x squared over an x minus 2 for your final answer. So that would be the answer to that one. That was number 11. Number 11. All right, catch our breath. All right, what number was this one? This was number 23. So again, 7 through, or 8 through 22 there, you're just doing that process, factor, and then see what cancels, and keep track of what you cancel to see where it can't be equal to 0. This is number 23. And so 2 minus 1/3 over 5 times 1 over 7. Again here, these are just going to be problems where we have to complex fractions, and so we have to clear them up. And so you end up with a 7 in the denominator. So that means I have to multiply this 5 times a 7 over a 7. And so they cancel. So what happens is you end up with a 7 on the denominator. And then 7 times 5 is 35. So you're doing 35 minus 1. So in the denominator you wind up with 34 over 7. Then you also have to do the numerator. So the numerator is 3 is the denominator and the numerator. So you have to multiply this 2 by 3 over 3. And so 2 times 3 is 6. And then 6 minus 1 is 5. So what I have is 5 over 3 over 34 over 7. So again, when you do these, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. And so I would have to flip the bottom one. So I'm going to multiply 5 over 3 times 7 over 34. And then work it through. Okay, so 5 times 7 is 35. And then 3 times 34 is 102. So 35 over 102 would be your answer. So again, get a common denominator. There was a 7 in the bottom, so I had to multiply the 5 times 7 over 7. Then I had to multiply the 3. Since there's a 3 in the denominator, I had to multiply the 2 by 3 over 3. And then once you get down to where you have a fraction over a fraction, then you have to multiply by the reciprocal. And so that is going to be the thought process for 24 and 26. 26 works the same way, only you have a common denominator dealing with variables. So if you notice, the common denominator for the numerator on 26, you have an x plus 3 and an x, so you would have to multiply one of the left one by x, and you have to multiply the right one by x plus 3. Same thing for the bottom one, you have an x plus 4 and an x on the bottom, so the left one is missing the x, so you have to multiply it by an x. The right one is missing the x plus 4, and so you have to multiply by the x plus 4. Then see what you end up with, then flip them, and multiply. Alright, so that will be pretty much all I have you really do today for review. If you go ahead and look on your test, I'll go over the test real quick with you. So the test, if you look at it, number 1 and 2, just deal with the evaluation, like what we did on the left here. Numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 deal with these common denominators. So just figure out what they're missing, what's the least common one they have. So for example, if one of them has an x minus 2, if that's the highest value, then that's what you're going to pull out. If one of them has whatever it is, you just pull out what each one of them has. For example, I'll go over that again. If you have an x minus 2, x plus 3, then your other one had an x plus 3, x plus 3, for example. Least common denominator, notice this one had 2 x plus 3s, so when I pull it out, it has to have 2 x plus 3s. It's just the highest one each of them has. This one has an x minus 2, that one doesn't. So my least common denominator for that would be x minus 2 times x plus 3 times x plus 3. So 2x plus 3s, this one has 1, but they have to have 2 to be able to do it. So it'd be x plus 3, and then x minus 2 there. And so that is what your thinking process for 3 through 6 on the test. Simplification on 7 through 10, you're just doing the operation. If you have a common denominator, you can just add across the top or subtract across the top. If you do not have a common denominator, you have to find one. Then you can add across the top and subtract across the top. Determine the values that cannot. 11 through 14, you just have to set the denominator equal to 0 and see where the denominator is equal to 0, and that will be your answer for those. 15 through 17 is where you have to find the common denominator and see what cancels what. It's like 13 through 17. It's like what we just did on the board just a second ago, where you're having to cancel. Now, look at 18 through 21. 18 through 21 deal with rational equations. Remember, if you have a fraction equal to a fraction, you just cross multiply and solve it. So like 18, all you have to do is cross multiply and solve it. 19, all you have to do is cross multiply and solve it. Number 20 and 21, you have to find the common denominator and then you can work it through. So for example, number 20, you have a 3 in the bottom and an x in the bottom. So that means you're going to have to multiply by 3x to everything. 21, you have an x in the bottom, an x plus 3 in the bottom, and a 3x in the bottom. So you have to find your common denominator there. And then I'm not going to have you do 22 or 23 on the test. So only do through 21 on the test. So that'll be your lesson. If you have any questions, again, the test won't be until tomorrow. So if you have any questions, you can get up with me and I can help walk through anything on these book problems. And so do that. So I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see y'all next week.